Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today's an exciting day. It is new tool day. So just picked this guy up. Finally got delivered today from the Bezos Empire. There's a bit of a snafu with it and took way too long to get here, but now it's here, so I'm excited. Some of you may know that I do already have a table saw. It's an old Craftsman that lives in the wood shop. The issue with that is that it's big and it's heavy and it's stuck in the wood shop, and if I need to actually cut anything, then or anything of a decent size, I can't really do that because it's trapped in a small wood shop. So I got this guy because it's nice and portable and relatively lightweight, and I can keep it in the wood shop but then bring it outside and then rip down 2x4s and cut down some OSB and all the other good stuff you do with the table saw. For general constructy purposes, I'll probably still use the other one for more delicate stuff, so when I do end up making some cabinets. But yeah, or if this one just suits me well, I might get rid of that. But figured I'd try it out. Got a pretty good deal on it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna strip it down and put it together. So this is the slightly fancier version of this guy. It is the one that comes with the base. Oddly enough, with the deal I found, the one with the base was cheaper than the one without the base. And it's the same part number, so it should be the same saw. And looks like some cardboard, That is the base. And this is the saw. So the old box in a box trick. I'll have to deal with that later. And let's see what we are looking at. There's all my safety accoutrement. Well, there she is. Let's go put that base together and have something to stand on. Looks pretty nice. Bolts. I assume these are the bottom legs. Okay. Well, it's not too bad. So it does just kind of sit like that, nestles in there and nestles in there. You can put some bolts on there to actually secure it, but it's actually pretty okay like that. Obviously they want you to put bolts in it for a reason. That seems to be a cast aluminum bit to get into the blade. The blade it comes with does seem to be pretty decent. It says to be a ripping blade. We also have a riving knife installed. Get that up there. It does appear to have carbide teeth, or at least some sort of inset tooth. So that's a nice feature. I like that. There's a little quickie little thumb screw to pull the riving knife out or off or whatever. I'll clearly have to read the instructions to see how to remove it, because it's sometimes you want the riving knife out and sometimes you want to use the giant stupid blade guide. Or blade guard, I should say. Oh, do you push in on that? You do. Okay, that's really slick. I really haven't used a modern table saw, but there is a button or a little wing nut on here. You loosen it, and then there's an arrow on it. Because you push it, it retracts a little dowel right here, and then the riving knife can come off, and then you can put the big hokey blade guard on if you want, and then cinch it down. So, not the end of the world. It does seem to be pretty decent. Oh, and you can actually lock the stupid little things out of the way. You know, as far as dumb blade guards go, this is definitely one of the best. Much better than some things I've worked with. This also says it has some anti-kickback stuff, which, if it does, I guess they're talking about these guys. Because I've used things in the past that have a little claw down here, and it wrecks your piece of wood, your woodwork, or your workpiece rather. So I'm not about that. But I am about this. So as far as blade guards go, I think I might actually use this one. Let's see what else we got. The fence is living on the other side, which is interesting. I guess that's for storage. Okay, we'll click that. Now, normal things. So yeah, I guess you can. So this guy clamps there and there to the frame, and then there is a little locking lever to move that, and it does go out a full 24 inches, or so they claim. Let me grab a tape measure and verify said claim. Can never find a tape measure, but the old Park tool will work good. And well, from this position, I'm at 20 and change, but there's another position over here. So that's your full, all the way out, most capacity. That says 24. And when you look at that, it's about 24. Can I lock that down? Okay. So my max capacity, I'm reading about 24 and 11/16. Maybe a little bit shy of that. So not too bad. Let's see how accurate. Oh, well, I would say let's see how accurate the pointer is, but the pointer's got some sliders. So I'm gonna set that to, is it 16 inches? And I am, oh, it's like a couple thou bigger. So that's about perfect. So from the factory, they set that up pretty well. Yeah, pretty much everything's pretty good. The only thing I don't like about this saw, which I did see in the store before I bought this guy, is your blade bevel adjustment is just a clamp that you have to manually lock. There's no little curly screw like on a higher end saw. But for what this is, and I can get to that 45 pretty well. For what this is, considering the saw technically retails at something like 400 bucks, and you can find it like I did for about $350 for the saw with the stand. You're kind of in Harbor Freight price territory. They make a saw that's about 400 bucks. It is a 10-inch saw and not an 8 and change saw. What is this? 8 3/4, 8 1/4 blade. So you do have a little bit more capacity on that, but the most thing I'm going to do with this thing, as far as I know, is rip a 2x4 in like lengthwise along the 2-inch section. So I don't really need much else from that. So I think this guy will suit my needs. Yeah, let me do a little bit more research on this, and then as far as I'll read the manual, because I'm not above reading the manual, and I'll come back and we'll make some test cuts. Okay, so it's been a little while. I haven't read the instructions yet, but I did look around the machine a little bit more off camera to kind of get my feel for it. I completely forgot there's a miter gauge, so took that out of the packaging, and then started playing around with the fence because it's got this like flippy section thing. I wasn't too sure about that, but on the back side, behind the push stick, cheap little push stick they give you, there's a little description, pictorial description on what that little flippy guy is for. And it's actually pretty nifty. So, obviously if you're cutting small stuff, just normal rip fence, it does the job. But if you have some really kind of tight stuff, you can lift it up here, put that there, then you can sneak up on the blade, butt your material against this, and then still have some room to move and put your hands so you're not right up in the blade itself. So that's nifty. And then the other thing is when you're way out extended here, you can pop this out into the lower bit and it'll actually hold your workpiece. So now that'll sit right there instead of dropping down. If it was up in its stowed spot, you might have some tippiness. So yeah, that's good. Like I said, this might be a normal feature on a lot of saws, but I've never owned a saw made this century, and I've never owned a really compact little portable guy like this. So this is all pretty new. I've mostly only ever worked out of the big Craftsman saw I have, well, medium big Craftsman saw I have in there, or my dad's big full cabinet saw when I was a kid. So this is all new to me. But as far as other things go, the miter gauge, it is a little bit loose, so I've got a little bit of racking left to right. It's really going to come down to like way less than a degree. So not really a big deal for most people, but if you're going to do any fine woodwork, I definitely recommend getting a better miter gauge or ditching that altogether. This is made pretty cheaply. It's just a folded piece of metal, but it is pretty good for what that is. Pretty heavy gauge metal, probably not going to get deformed, and then in a nice aluminum T-track. It would be nice to have some little adjusters to kind of close that gap up, but again, for the price point, you can't really complain too much. They do have this slot right here, so you can put a nice piece of wood on the back, or bolt on some sort of extra fancy like aluminum fence situation that the kids are doing these days. But if you need a miter gauge, it comes with one, but you probably want to upgrade that if you're going to get one of these saws. Another little thing that I noticed that I don't necessarily love is the power switch. So when I saw it, I was just assuming it was going to be the normal kind that I like, which is a pull to start and a push to stop. This is a push to stop, but the start is a little weird. Firstly, they've got this little weird lock cover. It just kind of sits over there. And then you've got a push button in the middle, which is okay. Like I said, I just prefer the pull and push. But it does work. I just hooked up power, so I just turned it on for the first time a couple minutes ago. So you can hear it run. It is very loud for what it is. Much louder than my big Craftsman. So it's loud and angry. So we'll see how that goes. But anywho, I think it's time to take my first cuts with this. I'm only going to cut a little bit of stuff because I don't really want to fill the garage with wood dust. This is the domain of metal dust. Wood dust lives in the shed and outside. But it's dark out, so I'm going to take a couple cuts in here. And I'll use the cheap little push block it comes with. That got nice and smooth. I did get a pretty decent amount of tear out on this material, but it's not really the most... This is a pretty delicate board. It's pretty chintzy. This is just some underlayment stuff. I'm using it for wall paneling in the shed, but so this is some scrap left over. But now we'll give it a shot with some heavier duty, like 1/2-inch ply, or OSB. And I'm just going to trim a little bit off of this stuff. So that's 13 1/4, just because. much better. This is more the material that this saw was made to cut. So yeah, it did a good job. So, yeah, I kind of like it. It cuts really nice and smooth. It is pretty fast and easy to start. And it does have a lot of nice features. So, if you're considering getting one, it seems like not a bad buy, but time will tell. I just need to put a little bit more time in it. Alright, Future Eric here with a little update. So I was working on another project with the table saw and made a lot of cuts, close to 80 cuts. I had 38 2x4s and I ripped them lengthwise twice to curve off the round ends. That's going to be for an upcoming project that I'm currently doing. But so basically I cut about, doing the math, a little over 600 feet of boards with the table saw. And that's going to be cutting a 2x4 this way, fed through. So the part that's really like 1.5 inch. What I can say is the saw handled it. The blade's still nice and sharp. It's not making any weird noises. And it did good for basically a couple hours of just straight use being on without shutting it off. Only thing I will say is I am definitely at the capacity of what that saw was designed for when I'm doing that. The blade, you can hear the motor struggling and you can hear the blade slow down as you're feeding it in, just because it doesn't really want to see that much wood at once. It is best for sheet goods, but if you do need to make those cuts, it'll definitely handle it. Just go a little bit slow and don't abuse it like I just did. Mine's still working and completely fine, but your mileage may vary. Anywho, I figured you'd want that little extra update now that I've got some time behind the saw. So yeah, I still give it a good recommendation. I've been enjoying it thus far. It is a little small, so to keep throwing more negatives at it. The fact that it's small means it's kind of hard to line up a 2x4 from 8 feet away. And a big cabinet saw doesn't have that problem, but a big cabinet saw is many $1,000s and heavy and takes up space. So if you're looking for a medium duty saw that will get the job done, and or you have a really small shop, 2 thumbs up. So I hope you liked the video. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you like more videos like this, please consider subscribing.